What's up, Michigan Nation? It's your boy TJ Ronin. You can find me on the socials at TJ_Ronin. And Michigan has just landed its next portal commitment. It is Anthony Simpson, the Y-type 5'11" wide receiver out of Bloomfield, Connecticut, the UMass transfer who didn't quite have the most productive year last year, 3 receptions, 16 yards. Then he had an injury. And then what's also interesting about this season is he did have an injury, but then something occurred with him at the program where he decided to enter the portal. And my assumption is the reason he would enter the portal is to save his eligibility so he can then transfer to another school the next year. We are that next school because that situation is not quite clear to me yet in terms of what happened after his injury. But Don Brown, by all accounts, who was the head coach at UMass, apparently said Anthony Simpson's no longer with the team. So I'm assuming by just reading between the lines that is something like that occurred, but now he's at Michigan. Let's take a look. Let's take a deeper dive into Anthony Simpson and see at his career trajectory. So previous to him transferring to UMass, he was at Arizona. He wasn't the most productive at Arizona. He did a year prior in 2023 have a breakout year, 57 receptions, 792 yards, 13.9 average for 3 touchdowns. And not only that, what I find also interesting is if you look at his returning ability, his freshman year, 18 attempts for 342 yards, was actually shows some pretty good playmaking ability and speed potential, which is interesting because when I watch his film and then when we look into a scouting report, it actually doesn't quite translate to me. We'll get into that when we get into a scouting report here in a moment. But, you know, Anthony Simpson, to me as a player, is an addition that is going to add depth to the wide receiver room as well as competition for that. Let's get into his scouting report, and then we'll get into more on where do I see him fit. We will look at the depth chart. We also look at the transfer portal class as a whole, but let's take a look at his scouting report. So this is Anthony Simpson's 247 page. As a transfer, guys, he's the 160th ranked wide receiver in the transfer portal, 907th overall. He's not the highest ranked player in the portal by any means. We also know, though, and I want to stress this, rankings are not everything. Film matters. But the unfortunate thing for us is I cannot show you guys the film due to the sensitivity and touchiness of YouTube's copyright. So I will just give you my analysis from me watching the film. I highly encourage you guys to watch the film yourself so you can make your own opinions. But when I watch Anthony Simpson's film, I see a player who is potentially not a power 4 wide receiver, guys. I see a player who shows a bit of lack of burst, lack of speed. And I am not confident he is going to take Samaj Morgan's position at the Y. You know, that's my analysis. If we look into his scouting report here, and what I find interesting is he ran an 11.5 200 meter as a junior in high school. That is a very slow time, guys. Quite honestly, I'm not a fan of any wide receiver running anything in the 11s. I want all my wide receivers to run in the 10s. I don't disagree that route running, you can be a track star. And if you can't run routes, you're not a good wide receiver. I don't disagree. There is a balance. But at the same time, an 11.5 wide receiver is not a very fast wide receiver. We'll just say that. So, you know, I want to just stress this to you guys. Look, when we look at players, when we take a look at players and I do my player analysis for you guys, I'm going to give you my honest opinion, whether it's good, unsure, or bad. I am going to put the Anthony Simpson portal addition in the unsure category. And the reason why I'm going to put him in the unsure category is because when I look at his film, I take a look at his scouting report, and I look at his previous production, I see a player that I'm not entirely sure is a power 4 wide receiver. And because he's not a power 4, in my opinion, he potentially is not a power 4 wide receiver. That makes me unsure about the addition to Michigan. And then what's interesting is I'm in a few group chats, and one of my group chats that I'm in, there's a current debate going on. I will name no names. You know who you are. And, you know, the debate is, well, if they don't feel like he's going to be a productive wide receiver at Michigan, why would the coaching staff take him? Well, the coaching staff needs bodies in the room. We have to fill out the wide receiver room. We also are looking for added experience, which he does have, and he does have some production. But at the same time, guys, just because the coaching staff takes a player does not mean they're going to be very productive at Michigan. I'll give you the example of CJ Charleston. I'll give you the example of Amarion Walker. All of these guys do not hit. And if you disagree with me, that's okay. But what I'm not going to do to you guys is lie to you. I'm not every single kid that comes to Michigan, I'm not going to say is amazing, or I'm not going to say is great. I hope you come to my videos because I'm going to give you an honest opinion on how I feel about the player. Now, that does not mean I'm right. I could be wrong. And if I am wrong, good, because that's good for Michigan. And I want what's good for Michigan. But I am going to give you my honest take on it. And what I recommend all of you guys to do is after this video, go to his YouTube or go and type in Anthony Simpson highlights and look for yourself and look and tell and ask yourself, what do you honestly think? Every player that comes to Michigan is not all American, guys. Every player that comes to Michigan is not going to be a mass, produce at a high level. Some of these guys might not even see the field much. And we see this sometimes year to year. I am putting Anthony Simpson, in my opinion, through my analysis, in that category. I do not feel he's going to be a highly productive player at Michigan. I feel Samaj Morgan's going to start over him in the Y position. We'll see if that's to be, if that turns out to be true. And also, if you disagree with me, that's okay. We have a call-in show Thursday, 8 p.m. Call into the show. Let me know. I don't have any issue with anyone disagreeing with me. I embrace debate. I'm okay with being wrong, but I am giving you guys my honest opinion. Let's take a look at Michigan's transfer portal class right now. So right now we have 9 transfers, but what's interesting about this, I was taking a look at this earlier, they do not have Lawrence Hattar listed as one of the transfers. I think I know why that is, because Lawrence Hattar is not going to be admitted to Michigan until the summer, because this is another one of those credit situations where he needs to graduate before he can actually join the team. He will not be joining Michigan for spring ball, which is actually unfortunate because we could really use him to get him in early so he could learn the playbook. Is what it is. So let's take a look at the transfer portal class. We have Trey Williams, the depth defensive tackle, who is going to be playing likely behind Rayshawn Benny. Justice Haynes, who is an impact player, is a dog who's going to be rotating with Jordan Marshall. I do believe Justice Haynes will be RB1, Jordan Marshall RB1B. And then you got TJ Metcalf, who will be starting opposite of Rod Moore. Mikey Keene, who will be battling Bryce Underwood for the QB1 position next season. We'll see how that goes. Troy Bowles, very interesting. Jayshon Barnum he's not going to Sam anymore. He's going to stay at the weak side linebacker position. And that linebacker room is deep, very deep. Linebacker room is in a great position, very healthy. Damon Payne, he's going to be a rotational depth piece. I think it's potentially possible he transitions to the zero tech because he has the frame to add about 10 to 15 more pounds. He could play that position. Tevis Metcalf is a pit bull. And then we have Brady Norton, the developmental offensive lineman who could see the field in a year or two, not necessarily next season, but he does have a lot of potential, which is why Michigan went after him. And then Donovan McCauley, who I do believe is going to be our starting X wide receiver next season. Let's take a look at the depth chart now and see where does Anthony Simpson fit for Michigan. So bear with me as I pull it up. So this is our depth chart. And I have Anthony Simpson behind Samaj Morgan. I am not confident he is going to surpass Samaj Morgan in camp. I think Samaj Morgan should be able to battle it out. If not, there's going to be a battle this spring. If he is a spring transfer, we'll find out if that's the case, or if it's a winter transfer, I don't know yet. We'll let the details kind of come out on that. But even so, I do think Anthony Simpson adds depth. Do I think if we had Anthony Simpson in 2024, that would have at least added some value? I do. But I do understand, and I feel like a lot of people feel similar to me. We're looking for impact players to surround Bryce Underwood so we can have a more potent offense. And it's not that Anthony Simpson is not potentially capable of having some production in Michigan, although I am still unsure about how much production that will be. He's not, in my opinion, an impact guy like you see at Justice Haynes or even on the level of Donovan McCauley. I think Donovan McCauley is going to actually have a very productive year for us. I think Andrew Marsh coming in is going to have a very productive year for us. I'm hoping Samaj Morgan has a prove-it year. I'm hoping Samaj Morgan has an extremely big year for us because right now, that wide position, I still think he holds. So this is where I'm at. This is the depth chart. If you guys see any errors in this depth chart, do not hesitate to put it in the comments. this list is fluid. It is evolving. It will continue to evolve. This actually is very interesting right now. The Lawrence Tatar situation, considering now he will not be joining us until the summer. Left guard's an interesting situation. I mean, he's only going to have just a couple months to learn the playbook, so that's going to be a tougher hurdle for us. We'll see what happens though. So this is where we are, boys. Michigan has added Anthony Simpson to the class, a wide receiver. We will see if they add any more additional wide receivers to the class, and if they don't do it in the winter portal, will they do it in the spring portal? We'll find out. Our next show is going to be Tuesday. Michigan Wolverines live at 8 p.m. Check me and John Diadamo on that. We'll probably give you some more analysis on this and anything else that breaks, anything new. We are definitely going to talk about Michigan basketball. Dusty May. Shout out to Dusty May, man. Jesus, that team looks good. But as you guys know, please like, share, subscribe to the video. One thing I can promise you is honest analysis. I will give you my honest analysis. I will not lie to you. And I hope that holds some value to you guys, because if I do like the guy, that means I'm not bullshitting you. That's just how it is, and I'm not changing, and it's okay. I have been debating some people on X. They don't seem to like that. They seem to like comforting lies all the time, and they seem to like when people just say everything is good all the time. That's not how we roll. That's not how I roll. I remain objective and honest in everything. Life, sports, the way I look at shit, it is what it is. So if this is for you, please join us. We got the best community on YouTube. No bullshit. We appreciate all you guys, all of our members. Everyone who shares, likes our videos, we greatly appreciate it. And until next time, Wolverine Nation, it's always go blue.